Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's Friday, 29th of November, 2024. This is program number 1294 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calixte George Jr. I think I said that already, didn't I? Now, of course, if you want to join us, you should be following us on 101.1 FM radio. You can also get us at our website, rcistlucia.com. And we are also streaming live on Facebook. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that as well, please, with your friends and family. And don't forget, you can call in to tell us what's on your plate. The number to do so is 452-3046. That's our main line number, 452-3046. And you can also get us on our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. And you can message in, you can call into that number so you can reach us at 724-0008. Now, a bit of history for today. Well, back in the year 1877, the U.S. inventor Thomas Edison demonstrated his hand-cranked phonograph for the very first time. And in the year 1935, a bit more science history here, physicist Erwin Schrödinger published his famous thought experiment, Schrödinger's cat. And that was a paradox that illustrated the problem of the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. And in 1951, on this day, the first underground atomic explosion at Frenchman Flat in Nevada occurred. And of course, there are some people who are celebrating their birthdays today. We want to send out some birthday greetings to Miss Kalila Abubakar. Happy birthday to you, Kalila. And we do hope that you're having a fantastic and wonderful birthday celebration. And also to Mr. Trevor Hippolyte, happy birthday to you. Wishing you a wonderful birthday. And also to Miss Melissa Moses, happy birthday to you as well. We now head across to take in our dish of the day.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And of course, the matter of sport is always a very, emotional one for a lot of individuals, for a lot of people. And we all, of course, tend to love our sports. And some people love sports more as spectators, though, as actual participants. And for a lot of people, of course, that is the way we enjoy sport. And that has been the case for some time, and people's ideas of what sport is has been changing, perhaps over time. And we know, of course, the more traditional ones of football and cricket and athletics, and of course, over time, the desires of people to get involved in tennis and table tennis, and then later on, definitely volleyball and basketball, the court games of netball as well, particularly for ladies. And now we've seen women branching out a lot more into some of these sports as well. And so, of course, women's cricket being one of those areas where we're seeing St. Lucian women doing very, very well in. In fact, just recently, an announcement coming that three St. Lucians, Zeta James, Kiana Joseph, and Narissa Crafton, are all back into the senior women's team for the West Indies. That's going to be heading across to India in the upcoming month, the month of December. And so we're seeing, of course, participation in sport, particularly in women, is growing quite a bit. And we're also seeing a greater diversity of sporting pursuits. At one point in Saint Lucia, perhaps shooting was something back in the 1950s and 60s and 70s. There was actually some interest in gymnastics as well, and but we've seen many of these things wane and come and go depending on the peculiar interests of individuals. At one point, I believe even the sport of fencing was being introduced here. I remember a Dutch gentleman by the name of Mr. Kerkhoff, who used to teach at St. Mary's College, was an advocate of trying to pursue that. And of course, many of these sports are, in fact, part of the Olympics, and people can, in fact, win medals for them. And of course, boxing. Quite recently, some people would have seen Mike Tyson getting back into the ring for whether a win or lose, a very pretty penny coming to him in that regard. But the matter of motorsport is also very, very big business around the world. And you know that people love their cars and they love to be able to see those cars go very fast. And of course, to do that safely is quite a big undertaking. But certainly, we've seen the prominence of motor racing of different forms becoming more and more popular. They really did become extremely popular after World War II, when you saw a lot of people being able to now afford vehicles. There was a rising production of vehicles. And then you also saw in many countries around the world, in the advent of World War II, in the sorry, not the advent, but in the post World War II era, a number of the airfields, that were built by the Americans and the British were in fact no longer needed, and so they became used for places of motor recreation. People wanting to be able to get that thrill of being able to see what their vehicle can in fact do in terms of performance, in terms of speed, and to do so in an area off the public roads and in a bit of a safer means to do so, right? So a number of these airfields, in fact, became used for that purpose. And that's the same in the case of the United Kingdom. They're very early tracks, in fact, F1 tracks, they were in fact these old airfields that were not utilized, and so they were converted over time into these tracks. And so, of course, the Formula One sport is, as I said, big business around the world. It's great for the car manufacturers to be able to prove how good they are and what they actually can achieve in terms of speed. Here in Saint Lucia, that tradition, I believe, has been around probably since the 1970s, at least. And we were also in that similar kind of boat. Now, in the case of Trinidad, for instance, they had the benefit of Wallerfield Air Base in the East Trinidad area, in the Pasta Rima, where they had two runways, and so in fact one of those runways in Trinidad up at Wallerfield has in fact been converted into a dedicated auto race course. Now, in the case of St. Lucia, we also had two runways, and a little bit different in terms of the orientation in Wallerfield. Theirs were parallel. Ours, one was at an angle to the other, and so one of those runways has become runway 1028, which is the principal runway for Hiwanora International Airport, which was eventually extended in the early 1970s. The other runway was that of a part of that base, which was the one that was headed more on a northeast southwest orientation, was in fact the one which was being used for quite some time as a place for motorsports, and in particular the sport of drag racing. And drag racing tends to require a very long strip of unimpeded roadway, and that is largely afforded by having this disused runway. At the time when it was built, the runway was a length of about 5,000 feet, all right, 5,000 linear feet, which is roughly about 1,560 meters in length. Or if you prefer in miles, it's just about a mile, right? Just about a mile. And in the case of drag racing, the general standard race has been the quarter mile, right? And there are some races that use even shorter distances now, but that tended to be the general race distance for drag. And of course, beyond that, you would need the slow down distance, that period when, of course, you've gotten to the finish line and you need to slow down. So you do need usually about half a mile to maybe 2/3 of a mile for a standard track. Now, as I said, probably back in around the 70s, that whole tradition of people going and testing out their vehicles on the base became a thing. And later on, in fact, we went to the point where we actually began seeing events actually being held. And particularly for the independence period, that certainly became a pretty popular undertaking for many young people who saw that as a wonderful opportunity to get that need for speed and to be able to witness those races. Of course, in the Caribbean itself, it has become a bit of a tradition. People are moving back and forth across the Caribbean now to participate in some of these races and to follow them. Barbados has developed a dedicated facility known as Bushy Park, but racing also does exist in Antigua as well as in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm not too sure about Grenada. Maybe Marini might be able to tell us, but I don't know for sure. But in terms of racing, probably maybe up on the Pearls Air Base, the old airport up in Grenville, those types of things are actually happening. So, of course, it was never really something that was officially sanctioned because those lands, in fact, belonged to the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority. And so there was a sort of a de facto arrangement, I suppose, in terms of allowing for use of that. Well, a proposed development seems to be causing a bit of a stir with respect to just that. And in fact, there is a story that came out in the St. Lucia Times this week, just 2 days ago, which it reads as follows: Kakabef could soon be fenced off from the public by a Quinn Sergiste. And it reads as follows: the traditional home of motorsports in St. Lucia may soon be unavailable to enthusiasts on the island. The VA4 base, more commonly known as the Kakabef, has been earmarked for fencing by the fuel company Rubis, with an additional fuel depot planned to service the nearby Hewanora International Airport. Historically, the location was used by the United States military during the Second World War as part of its strategic presence in the Caribbean. More recently, the VA4 base has been repurposed for motorsports activities, particularly as a venue for racing events and other public gatherings. However, with the base set to be utilized for alternative purposes, its use as a motorsports hub is in jeopardy. In late 2020, a proposal was tabled to develop a new home for local drag racing. The proposed location in Dennery South was intended to be developed into an official facility. In May 2022, under the leadership of Minister of Youth Development and Sport, Kenton Kazimi, a tour was facilitated to continue the search for a new site. Terrell Compton, chairman of the St. Lucia Motorsports Association, has indicated that while he has not received any official documents, the rumors surrounding changes at the Beanfield base are unsettling. Quote, it has set the country back as a motorsports destination, no longer viable until something can be done to develop a new track. This means drag racing in St. Lucia is at a standstill, Compton said. Quote, we've been recognized as one of the best destinations for motorsports, and St. Lucia is strategically placed. We were poised to host the biggest and most outstanding international drag race in the Caribbean, and now that opportunity is lost. The powers that be are prioritizing their interests and the broader picture of international development. Quote, but we also bring in sports tourism. We provide an avenue for young people passionate about engineering and mechanical engineering. We see the potential of having such a facility here, he added. St. Lucia Times also spoke with Craig Gustav, Alternative Sports Officer in the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, who admitted that the shift, quote, will dramatically hinder the development of two key sporting disciplines in the alternative sports program, drag racing and horse racing. He added that the ministry is, quote, looking at other options to continue developing the sports that have been displaced. Motorsports enthusiasts, local residents, and stakeholders remain hopeful of protecting the base from privatization and ensuring it remains accessible for public use, particularly for motorsport activities. A general meeting scheduled for December 1st is expected to facilitate discussions on strategies for preserving the base for public and motorsports use while balancing the need for development and economic growth in the area. Rubis was contacted by our news team, but indicated that they are unable to comment at this time. And it says St. Lucia Times will continue to continue to keep you updated as the situation develops. And as I said, that's a story written by Quinn Sergiste of the St. Lucia Times. So, of course, there is no doubt that tussle regarding development on the of the aerodrome, the Iwanora International Aerodrome or airport, and the general area that it occupies, and the aspirations, of course, perhaps of the motorsports enthusiasts on the island. I think certainly one of the matters that complicated the entire idea of the disused runway was the decision to relocate the airport terminal onto the disused runway. And that had a major impact on the overall master plan for the Iwanora International Airport. So originally, as per the master plan for the airport terminal was really supposed to have been built just north of the existing terminal. So in other words, in the car park of the existing terminal, that would have been where the airport terminal would have been located. So the benefit of that is that pushing it, effectively setting it back towards the north, allowed for the expansion of the parking apron into the area where the existing terminal is located. And so that would have become part of the parking apron, and you would have then been able to accommodate a number of additional planes on ground at the very same time. So that was, as I said, the original plan, which is based on a master plan that had been developed by a company called ALG in cooperation with the International Finance Corporation. That's a subsidiary of the World Bank. And that was the identified as the best location for an expanded, larger terminal to replace the original terminal for HIA, which was originally built back in 1974 and then had been expanded upon in 1993. That changed with the whole DSH scheme and a decision being taken to place the terminal now to the west and then onto the disused runway. In fact, it ended up being the planner for fuel farms at that time was to really place them to that one towards the west of the disused runway, and then that site became effectively taken up by the part of the new terminal site. So it has then, as a result of that, apparently seems as if they've shifted the location of the fuel farms to the north of that general area, further up onto the disused runway. So that is effectively the complication that is at play right about now. And it'll be left up to see if, in fact, there can be any potential compromise on this matter at all, or if, in fact, it will mean a complete relocation of the activities that are currently being undertaken at the old base. Of course, easier said than done, because in finding a new location, we have certain challenges as a country. Barbados might be a little easy off in terms of the fact that they're pretty flat, and it's much easier usually to be able to find areas that could actually accommodate such a distance, such a stretch at a time. And so in the case of St. Lucia, the challenge is perhaps a real one in terms of finding where such a facility could possibly be sited and to be sited safely. As had been mentioned in the that piece there in the St. Lucia Times, there was some consideration being given to be able to utilize some lands which were a part of what was known as Dennery Farm Co. And so that would have been north of the main Dennery Mabuya River, right, in the Mabuya Valley, and near where the old factory would have been located, the old Dennery factory. But it will be interesting to see how that all works out, because that is certainly a pretty costly venture as well. Well, we're going to leave it here for now, and that's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Oh, thank you, Calixte. It's now time to take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today, made possible by Island Style Talent Bath.
Michael, where you going with all that speed?
Girl, I hear Island Style have a big Christmas sale, up to 50% off on all kind of tiles. Wall tiles, hexagon, subway, mosaics, and wood look tiles like you would see on HGTV.
You serious? I see they have a lot of new products too, like vinyl flooring, wall panels, ceiling tiles, even travertine to make your pool look top notch. That on sale too?
Yes, girl, it's everything store wide. I see they have got cleaners and sealers too. External BSL, I need those for sure.
Hey, girl, that's not a biggie, but we heading to Island Style right now.
Visit Island Style Talent Bath now in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort. Find us on social media or call 450-452 or 453-TILE. Don't miss out on this incredible Christmas sale.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And now, a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. It's the 29th of November, 2024. The forecast of this hour is Lucius Frederick. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. The weather fair to partly cloudy with a few light to moderate showers. Move on to the marine forecast for season at 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. The high tide for the Castries Harbor at 2 p.m. and the low tide will be at 2 minutes before 9 tonight. For the VFOB, high tide 7 minutes after 3 this afternoon and the low tide 25 after 10 tonight. The seas moderate to locally rough. The waves and northeasterly swells 5 to 7 feet, the same as 1.5 to 2.1 meters in open waters. Small craft operators and seabathers, you should exercise caution, and that is due to locally rough seas. Please be guided. For the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers over the southern Windward Islands, and elsewhere will be fair to partly cloudy with a few showers. The tropical weather outlook: moist and unstable conditions will continue to cause some cloudiness and scattered showers over the southern Windward Islands during the forecast period. Over the rest of the region, fair conditions will reduce. Shower activity will prevail. Well, that's over the rest of the region. Fair conditions with reduced shower activity will prevail. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic, at least not for the next couple of days. And that's the official weather report. The only advisory is one for small craft operators and seabathers to exercise caution due to locally rough seas, so please be guided. Thank you very much for the update at this hour, Lucius. Join us again in the morning at around 6:30. Our next report from the Met Service officially is due on the station at that time. The weather was brought to you by Island Style Thailand Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Michael, where you going with all that speed?
Girl, I hear Alan style have a big Christmas sale, up to 50% off on all kind of tiles. Wall tiles, hexagon, subway, mosaics, and wood look tiles like you will see on HGTV.
You serious? I see they have a lot of new products too, like vinyl flooring, wall panels, ceiling tiles, even travertine to make your pool look top notch. That on sale too?
Yes, girl, it's everything store wide. I see they have got cleaners and sealers too. Tell me, BSL, I need those for sure.
Hey, girl, that's not a biggie, but we heading to Island Style right now.
Visit Island Style Talent Bath now in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort. Find us on social media or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. Don't miss out on this incredible Christmas sale.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Apologies for the late start, by the way. It was a bit unavoidable. And in fact, there's quite a lot of traffic into the city in both directions, heading north as well as south. So perhaps if you don't have to come into the city, it might be a good idea to try to avoid and take another route if you can. Now, of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us at our website. You can always reach us at, you can reach us on our Facebook Live. You can send in messages there as well. And you can also reach us on our WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. And of course, that challenge here in terms of land use and trying to balance out the interests of sport and the interest of other economic development, that of aviation and air transport infrastructure, is, of course, one of the challenges of a small island developing state with very limited resources, and how best to be able to manage these resources for the benefit of all. So let's hope that a happy conclusion can come for both sides in respect of this situation regarding the motorsports interests. Of course, no doubt, there were quite a number of people who would have gone down to enjoy those activities, sometimes into the hundreds, if not thousands, of spectators. And as the point was also being made in that article, the matter of horse racing going on as well in that area. Because remember, even though there is a rather large, spacious racetrack for racing, which cost the state quite a pretty penny because it involved the realignment of the Larry Shoes Highway to create a bypass of that site, and that, of course, is the whole DSH development. That I'm not sure in terms of the overall use for that facility. It doesn't appear that the average horse racing person who wants to engage in that kind of horse racing has access to utilize that facility at the moment. And it's not very clear as to what is going on with respect to that racetrack and the facilities that were built by Desert Star Holding. Of course, remember, we were promised that this was a project that was going to realize a tremendous amount of interest. You would have had 400 horses. You would have had racing going on every day. It would have been self-sustaining because those races would be broadcast across the world. And so, of course, people in countries where horse racing is not legal, like in China, they would be utilizing these online platforms to watch the races and to be able to actually bet on these races. And well, doesn't look like that model seems to have panned out. And many people would probably say, well, I told you so. Because when you look at the horse racing industry globally, and when you also look at the reality that you've got existing race courses, racetracks in the Caribbean, you would have seen that they're not doing that well either. All right. You've got Santa Rosa in Trinidad and Tobago. You've got the Garrison, Savannah in Barbados, and up in Jamaica, you've got Caymanas. And those tracks have had a very long standing history of horse racing. I think in the case of Barbados, they go back into the 1800s. And it's not to say that we didn't have a tradition of horse racing back in that colonial period in the 1800s, but there was, in fact, I think, a course in the Shock area at one point, and then as well in the Vidbouté area on the Harris lands. There was, in fact, a race course around there at one point too, but those were relatively small tracks and really couldn't compare with what existed in the islands like Barbados, Trinidad, and Jamaica. And so, of course, eventually that tradition pretty much died out in St. Lucia, although there was still somewhat of a tradition of ownership in the case of VA4 because of the large amount of grassland that was available down there for livestock. But in our case, a reintroduction of horse racing without necessarily working in the community would have, of course, been very, very questionable in terms of sustainability. So I don't know where things are at in terms of the ability of the St. Lucia Equine Association and other horse racing interests or horse owners and their interest in terms of utilizing the DSH track. But invariably, what had to be done was that a new strip had to actually be cleared parallel to and onto the side of the base, the old disused runway for horse racing in VA4. So again, it is one of these rather bizarre circumstances that we find ourselves in as a country. But one can say that this is um, perhaps lessons were not learned in that regard, because I think there's a similar kind of development which occurred up in St. Kitts. Similar concept. This individual said that, we're going to create an international race course, horse race course, and we're going to put this down, and the throngs of people will come to St. Kitts to be able to enjoy that. And I think that was built somewhere up on the northwestern side of St. Kitts, in the St. Paul's parish, I think it is, Deep Bay, and that, I think, saw perhaps about 2 race days, and that was that. And similarly, right, in the case of St. Lucia, we saw a similar situation, again, about 2 race days. I think a third one was advertised, and nothing has come of that. So it is to me, a big question mark in terms of the promise of investment, and clearly this investment has not redound to the benefit of the state. And in fact, the state has put in a tremendous amount of assets in terms of land, which is on lease at a peppercorn rate. And it invested in building a bypass road, which costs, I think, somewhere in the region of about $14 million. It has also meant that you have put on hold a lot of other development in the VA4 area, because the DSH agreements have effectively cordoned off a lot of the land that is available right now in VA4 for economic development and investment. And as well, let's not forget the meat processing facility, which has also been put on hold, $20+ million for that project as well. And nothing can come of it because of an equine disease-free zone. Let's take in a call at this time as we head to the phone lines. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George. How are you and yours?
Just a minute, caller. I'm not hearing you very clearly. Hello?
Hello,
Yes?
hello. Good afternoon.
Oh, yes, I'm hearing you now. Perfect.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Okay?
Yes, good, thank you. How are you?
All right. Your family.
Very blessed. Thanks for asking.
Senior down to junior.
Yes.
Junior.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm there listening to you, and I'm saying to myself, man, when you track back on that whole episode, can people be so gullible to believe that these things would work out?
Well, yes,
genuinely.
People, I think some people generally believed that it would work out. We can only.
Really, that's the kind. What?
Maybe we are very naive people.
Well, that's what I have to put it down to, because you talking about you trying to replicate what you're seeing going on in the Gulf, Qatar, Dubai.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And these are people who have excess of liquidity and money to burn, their own money,
That's right. That's
so
right.
people come there with all their glossy ideas, come to spend these people money for them,
Exactly. You've said it perfectly. Spot on, caller. Spot on.
On that premise alone, you're saying, but this is madness. So this guy feel he could have forked this amount of money, derive that money from our coffers to attract these people to come, and that there is no way the money would, even all what we give these people, these things could measure up to what they get, the incentive they get to go and work in these other countries.
And you know what, caller, as well, I would even suggest to you that even in Dubai, right, where you, as you rightfully said, there are how many high net worth people who have, they they can buy, 10 horses for $1 million, and that's pocket change for them, right?
That's
Because
pocket change.
and,
Yeah.
and so you have that means, and they can afford to have these things. And even there, I would suggest to you that project in Dubai, the Maidan, I think it's called Maidan racetrack and whatnot, has not been as a success as they had hoped it to be, right?
Well,
So
the people who are seeing this whole idea and this whole plan, super plan by this gentleman and this genius in his, policies and so on. Really, the genius? Well, they had to be geniuses, because really, that people genuinely believe that these things would yield. I can't believe that.
And what is sad about it too is that, okay, maybe the argument would have been, well, you know what, we'll build it, and we may not necessarily see the quote unquote tourism that he was talking about and all those things, but at least the local interests would have access to the facility, right? And that hasn't even materialized. Not even that. So not even something for the local guys to be able to say that, look, hey, we can actually utilize this thing for our own, at least give us 5 days a year or something like that. You understand?
But you spoke to that issue too, and it is very important. Is that you left with a facility, you build up people's hopes about thoroughbreds. You understand? And you end up racing ordinary little local horses in the Kakabeb.
Yes. Yep. That's the long and short of it. That's the long and
short of it. So might as well you had invested in the local people in the Kakabeb, try and build them up from small to getting a little bigger, then to start up there. In other words, you build the roof before you build the foundation. That's what it. And we went on
and then caller, when we actually begin to sum up all the investments that the state has had to make to realize this investment, right? I mentioned a few of them already. The road, which was like about 14 million. Then you had the about $21 million on hold. That's the meat processing facility, right? Then we remember there was a relocation of the Beauséjour agricultural station.
There you go.
Right? That they had to shift the Beauséjour agricultural station. They had to buy land up in Volet, in Mico, to create new pasture, to create new facilities when you already had it there. And so, that must be probably another $10-15 million.
Of food security.
And yes, exactly. So your whole food security plan, and so you've literally just sunk about $50 million. At least, right? Plus whatever I'm not even including the value of the land, right? That you've also put on hold, and
my brother,
it is.
Let people think for themselves and make decisions for themselves. They vote who they want. That is their business. Who am I to tell people? Yeah, but I was watching and observing that, Alex, and I seen these things are just pipe dreams and elusive schemes. And time has proven that none of them. If how many of them that have had endless, durability, or we could even talk about them that it's true. But this one, like you say, it has some legs. And let me say, well, okay, let me do it. You know what I mean? And these things are never. But you see, Calixte, I think, over the years we have come to measure development based on concrete and steel.
That's a very important point.
Yep. Bitumen and aggregate. Because, like, on another talk show, I heard a gentleman call and suggesting that and he was trying to come on the premise that he's not backing no side. He neutral, But he noticed we must pull up politicians for coming and shelving projects, good projects, and shelving them just because they didn't start them and starting all over and wasting all the resources and so on and so forth. I mean, essentially, there's virtue in that.
Definitely.
That provided is a viable and is well thought out project.
Precisely.
You know what I mean? And yeah. But when you have this kind of projects that these guys want to promote, you know, you cannot go with them kind of things like that, Calixte.
Well, in the United States, they call them pork barrel projects, right? It's just you're doing projects not for the benefit of people per se, but you say that it's going to benefit people, but the reality is it's usually more to the benefit of the contractors and people who may be hired to, you know, do the project itself.
So where the gentleman started proving how he playing his politics, notwithstanding he's saying in neutral, because when immediately now he started talking about, for example, what happened to the Iwanura? What happened to the highway to Grozile? You know, so you see where he was going. So he was suggesting that this government is doing nothing because you're not seeing concrete and steel.
Right.
Enough concrete and steel, you know, and people out there, you know, working concrete and steel or working on the roads. You know what I mean? Which, of course, in a sense, is legitimate. You must have these kind of projects to generate something, employment, and so on and so forth. But then to suggest that the government now, the current government, has done nothing, I mean, that is so unfair. It's like, you know, you completely disregard projects that touch the heart and soul of people and the humanity of your people, you know, my brother. When you're telling me a projects that to advance people's, you know, status in terms of their wages, their pensions, you know what I'm saying, and say that that's nothing. Somebody getting $200, $300 a month, and it's up to $500, and you write that off by saying, "Well, inflation will take that anyway." Think about what it would have been if they didn't get it at all.
Well,
what inflation would have done. So it's moving in the right direction, Calixte.
Yeah.
Giving people increased wages, the youth economy can galvanize the youth, you know, into something, you know. So much the government has done, you know, expunge the records of people who, for years, carrying records for possession of one, you know, a joint, you know, and all these kind of things. But to these people now, detractors, the government don't have no big monumental things to show. So maybe when the government shows that they complete St. Jude's, they'll come with the next story. In fact, they're building up the thing already, you know, the narrative for that. To show, yeah, it's true, they finished the thing, but it's not good. It's not good. It's not the way it should be in a time like this. You know, they jump on CIP. You know, they jump on CIP and like they're so disappointed that you know, that people not jumping on with them. They're trying to rile up people, you know, but these things just ending up like, you know, a storm in a teacup.
I was very taken aback by the argument when they people were complaining that the government was utilizing CIP funds to assist the financial situation in the OKE hospital. That one just kind of blew my mind. to argue that it's well, you know, yes, you're taking the money to do so, but that's not the problem with the hospital. as if so a complete moving of the goalpost. Because you'd be saying, well, the hospital needs resources. The hospital needs to be able to. I mean, we all know, we talk about the hospital not having medication, not having materials and bedding and all of that, and they don't think that you need money for those things, and it was a very bizarre argument.
Why sometimes any government running any health service, anything like that now, will fall short, in terms of personnel and equipment and medication and things. Because my brother, the rate at which we self-destructing in terms of the way we drive on the road.
Yep.
The crime situation.
Yeah.
Our living eating habits. What you call it?
Non-communicable diseases, NCDs,
right,
yeah,
and all these kind of things.
Yeah,
it's not going to put a strain on any government, notwithstanding you get how much.
It is putting a tremendous amount of strain on the health service.
I mean, and these people, they're just flagging them things, and when they see they're not getting currency, jump to another one, and they want people to come out. What they want to see people is causing mayhem and chaos in the streets, and it's not going to happen. And they want to absolve themselves by saying, because people, don't come with a yellow.
Well, a remarkable one I heard today on another program was Mr. Dominic Fede, interesting enough, coming to speak about water and speaking about the John Compton Dam desilting.
Let me tell you,
and he was trying to boast. And he was trying to boast how, after our best efforts, we were able to distill 8% of the dam. and that's his argument,
like they were champions.
And so I was a little bit flabbergasted on that argument from him.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what, and if you're telling me people are afraid to come out in yellow for reasons of victimization, all right? Then if they come out in orange, they won't victimize them?
Well, I suppose...
So don't come out in yellow, come out in orange.
Yeah, well, we'll see how the orange movement continues. Yes, indeed. But Caller, we're going to have to end it here because we're already over time. Thanks very much for that contribution. And of course, thanks to all those who have been listening. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take in any more calls. I know people want to call in and comment, but we're going to have to put an end to it here today. We'll be back, of course, God willing, for another program next week, Monday. Hope you can join us for that. And before I forget, Maureen, you didn't remind me, there is an event on for Nicole David, and this is on this coming weekend. Of course, it's for a very, very good cause, and it's a karaoke event which is happening Sunday, December the 1st, from 4 p.m. and it's at the Breadfruit Tree in Grosley, and it's for Nikki David, and so you're going to have lots and lots of fun there. You know how she was always the queen of karaoke, and so you can do this one for her. It's a sing and pledge for Nicole karaoke, Sunday, December the 1st, starting from 4 o'clock until, and Nicole needs your help. So you can sing or request a song and make a pledge. And of course, it's for a very, very worthy cause as she continues her battle with cancer. So let's root her on and also put our money where our mouths are and to support the cause. So remember, Sunday at the Breadfruit Tree in Grosley from 4 o'clock. Take care. Saint Lucia.